do a little intro to Qt. So I'm using, so Qt is C++, it used to be a C++ library to create user interfaces. There's many software that are using Qt, like, and then this is Qt Creator. So Qt Creator is IDE for writing Qt applications. So it also works very well on Windows. So you just install Qt, and you need to check Qt Creator. You know, when you install, let me maybe Qt installer. Yeah, so when you install Qt, there's going to be a wizard. It's the same on Windows, Linux, and Mac. So you need to select which platform you want to build, you want to install Qt for. So you can, with Qt, you can develop mobile applications as well. Just muting you, sorry, temporarily. So you can build applications for Android, iOS, or Mac, and that's for on a Mac. But on Windows, of course, you can build an application for Windows, and on Linux, you can build an application for Linux. So you need to make sure to check at least your, you know, on Windows, it's going to be MSVC, the Microsoft compiler. And then there's also there's also another compiler, MingW, for Windows. So if you, yeah, here. Yeah, so on Windows, it looks like this. So you need to check like which version of Qt you're installing. Now we're about 5.13 or 5.15, I think now. And you can select MingW, that's a Windows compiler, and MSVC 2015 64 bits. And then you can select like packages, so which one to install. I don't really use those, but you know, you definitely want to install Qt Creator, but this is going to be selected by default. And you might want to install MingW on Windows. That's one of the compilers. And then, yeah, on Linux, it's a similar widget, wizard. And on Mac too, see, you can select your Mac OS compiler and different things. And then you need to wait for eternally until it's all installed. But then you can browse examples. So Qt Creator looks like this, and then you know, in the you make sure you select the examples when you install it, and so let's look at one of the examples. I'm going to check maybe the QML example. So if you search here, you can search for QML. QML is like it's a JavaScript maybe I'm going to try this one. So QML is like a JavaScript it's the JavaScript for Qt. So I'm selecting, so when you configure a project, you need to select a kit. So I'm going to select just my desktop kit. I'm not selecting iOS because I don't want to spend too much time or too much hard drive. And then, you know, each example comes with, oh, okay. Comes with like a web page like this that explains you what this code is about. And then I don't know if it's going to work because there seem to be some error, but yeah, okay. I'm gonna try to, so I just opened a project called QML customizations. I don't know. I've never tried it, but I will try. So first you might want to run QMake. So there's, in English, there should be a run QMake item here. And see, there's a lot of green here. That looks good. And then we can look at the compilation output. This looks good. And then you press the play button. So when you press the play button, it will launch your application. So as we see this one, I don't know, this is just an example that I've tried. Oh, nice. Yeah, not so bad. I mean, Qt really allows you to make beautiful user interfaces. It's more for desktop applications, but I think it's great. Now here you can choose which mode you're going to build your application in. So there's debug, profile, and release. For development, I usually use debug, but it's slightly slower. Sometimes I might want to use release instead. To see there's a little bit of configuration here, and then you can also hit run here. So in English it's run. So Control R on Windows to build, and then so so that was one example. But maybe I'm going to create a new project from scratch. So nouveau fichier or project. So new file or project, and you choose. So you can choose like a Qt application. So this is C++, or you can choose QtQuick. QtQuick is like the JavaScript QML thing, and you can make a empty application or one. I like this QtQuick application scroll as the start. And then you click next, and then you give it a title. So I'm going to call it sample project. And then you click next. And I always use QMake as a build system. And then you need to choose which version of Qt you want to use. I usually use the latest, but I think on my computer, it's only 5.12 that's installed. So, and then there's QtQuick control style. So I like material dark, but there's different styles that you can try. And you can pick a language, but maybe I will not pick one for now. And then, oh, you should, yeah, I think maybe my version of Qt is too recent. So yeah, there you go. And then you can manage your Git, your files with Git if you want, but I'm just going to hit next. I'm not going to bother about Git for now. So here there's your project, so you can right click and then close. Sorry, it's in French, but close. Sometimes some strings are not translated. Yeah, there you go. So this is my project that I've just created. So I'm just going to run QMake. QMake is like the build tool for Qt projects. Next, I will hit run. And then, yeah, here's my app. So QtQuick has been created initially to create beautiful mobile applications. So it looks pretty good. I mean, it's not quite as flexible as web, but it's cross-platform. So here's the code. So there's the pro file. Pro is for the project, the Qt project. So in this file, it lists what Qt modules we're using, different configuration options, and the source files and the resource files. So the QRC are for resources, and then the rest I don't really touch it. Next, there is a C++ file. So this file doesn't do much since this is mostly a QML project. So the C++ file will basically load the QML engine. This is the engine that runs the QtQuick engine for running QML applications. And then we have this main.qml file that's here. That's the main.qml file. Basically, we're going to run it, execute the application that's defined in this QML file. So most of the action really happens in this QML file. Like the rest, we don't need to touch it much. So this is a QML file. It looks like JSON a little bit, but it has no commas between each properties. So these are properties. And you can call functions just like with JavaScript. Like QSTR will translate this string. So in case we have a translation file, but we don't, I think for now there's none, but I'm going to change my window title and hit run, save and run, and see what happens. See, my window title has been modified. So this is a scroll view. So anytime you see, these things are objects. So when there's a name that's in green with camel case, that's the type of the object. So you can right click help, and then you can view the help for that QML type. So yeah, that can be handy. And then QML types have different properties that are like, for example, this list view has a model property. But if I'm trying to create a new property, I don't exist, then there's this error message that says no invalid property. So the IDE is very powerful. And here sometimes we can have a property that has another item as a value. And then some properties, we might do some JavaScript in here. So we might concatenate this string with that number. So that's pretty handy. And this model thing is like it's like a model in Vue.js, or it's like data that's shown by this list view. So if I change this number to 99, save and run, there will be 99 items in my list. Right, so this is quite powerful. And then, of course, you can play around. Like you can erase that and create a rectangle, and then you can say anchor um, on the left. I don't know. I'm just trying something here. Yeah, that works. So I've just created a rectangle that is 100 by 100 pixels, and I don't use much these anchors thing. I mostly use QtQuick layouts, but there are tutorials about QtQuick layouts, um, and there's so anytime you use like a library of um, components, you must import it here. Yeah, so let me try to use a QtQuick layout. So can I right click this? Yeah, no. Um, I'm not sure about, let me see. Yeah, there's tons of examples. Yeah, you can use a row column layout, for example. So that's what I'm going to do. Column layout, and then and I will display a button with my text. I don't know if this is going to work. I think there might be something missing. Let's try it out. Um, Running. Sometimes you need to do. Yeah, no. I need to downgrade my. So there's error messages here. It's like the QML errors will happen when you run the application. So there was this error message here that I haven't seen. So I'm going to downgrade my version of QtQuick layouts. Yeah, there you go. So this is a column layout with a button in it. So this is probably this easiest example I can think of. So what if I have more than one button? And then I think I have there can be a label widget. And then, so buttons also have signals unclicked, and you can use console log here. It's just regular JavaScript. Save run. Yeah. So see, when I click this, it prints a hi click. Yeah. So yeah, that's a quick intro to QML. I guess there's much more, but the best way, the best thing you can do is to check the examples that are online and try, or you know, when you open Qt Creator, there's this welcome screen. You can browse through the examples, and some are very nice. Like you just click on that, and you configure it for your architecture, and try it out and look at the code. And that's probably the best thing you can do. And then maybe you can change a little bit the code here and see what it does. And the rest, the C++ part is very well documented on the Qt website. But that's a whole other topic. So for today, I just wanted to give you a quick intro to QML, and maybe a page that's very important is like QML conventions, coding conventions. So this page um, gives you an example of what a QML file might look like. So there's properties. So you can create properties for your QML type, and you can create signals. And the signals are like basically we'll call functions when they are triggered. And then you can create functions, JavaScript functions, and you can specify the properties for a given type. Like, for example, this is a QML file. So yeah, you can create new files. So let's say here I will add new. So I right click here, add new, Qt QML file. And then I give it a name. So maybe I will call it my widget. Yeah. And then it will automatically add it to the QRC file, so you don't need to worry about that. See this file here it lists all the files that are in my project. So this is the file that I just created. So here I'm going to basically I'm deriving. So the type here is kind of inheritance. So my widget will extend rectangle, and then I'm going to do red square, and I guess here my widget. So I'm creating an instance of my widget, and see, it's here. So by writing my widget here, this will look in the same folder for a file called mywidget.qml, and it will create an instance of that class, if we can say. So it's pretty powerful. And then that means you can reuse your components from project to project pretty easily. So I think it's a good thing to start playing around with creating QML files and try to instantiate them, and maybe play with their properties to start with, and eventually add functions or like signals or new properties.